we keep forgetting, really, that this taste for foods is not for pleasure, actually. It's there for purpose. Hey everybody, Eater here. Welcome to my healthy Keto Mukbang. I have prepared this wonderful feast for me here. I've prepared my now favorite jelly cake. Today it's with fake apples, zucchini. So it's keto, because on keto diet you can't really have many fruit. So I'm trying to make zucchini taste like apples, and I have quite a big success with it. Also my favorite wakame, which is very good for your health, for your iodine, for your other nutrients. Some baked zucchini with cheese, and a salad from avocado, eggs, canned pink salmon, olives. We're going to see how that turned out. Anyways, I'm sure it's going to be very delightful to eat. Without further ado, pair informations and we can get to it. Right, cheers. So let's try this while they are supposedly still hot. It's an experimental recipe. Quite. My wife went on a recipe shopping spree on the internet, found many recipes, and was like, cook me this, and so I do. But often these internet recipes, they are no good. Like this one. They are baked, but they are quite soggy and mushy. They are tasty, yeah, but I think it would be better if you kinda bake them to be like potatoes, you know, like fried potatoes. So they are kinda sturdy. I don't know how you would achieve that, but it would make sense to do it. This way it's kinda strange. Even though quite tasty. But mostly it's tasty because of the cheese and the spices, not the zucchini. Yeah. Let's add some spicy sauce. So today I want to talk about this awful thing called emotional hunger. And it's really a nemesis of proper relationship with food and just proper eating and enjoying food and life altogether. Naturally speaking, it should not be a big issue for us humans to stay at appropriate weight. It shouldn't be like an effort to stay lean. It should be just natural for us to be normal body weight and normal body fat percent. Of course, normal being what our body thinks is normal. Because having six-pack abs is actually unhealthy in terms of how the body sees it. Because our body is interested in our reproduction and survival, and having six-pack is not actually very good for that. Why? Well, because our body still thinks that death from starvation is quite a prevalent cause of death, and so our body wants to have some fat accumulated to survive through famine, through starvation, through, for example, requiring to withstand some siege when you have a scarce amount of food but you still have to defend your city from the invaders. Our body doesn't understand that we don't go to war anymore and that the food is so readily available everywhere. So for our body, this low amount of body fat, when you have abs sticking out and stuff, it's too low, it's dangerous. But otherwise, having a healthy percent body fat should be normal, and our body has systems in place which regulate intake of food. So if you have too little calories, your body will conserve calories. If you consume too much calories, your body will try to expand extra calories and seize appetite, so you don't want to eat as much, and you get like hot all of a sudden, so your body spends extra energy by heating itself. You get active and you want to fiddle with stuff like, you know, like this and this. Spend energy on this movement. This is how our body expends extra energy, or it can conserve energy if you have too little food. And so naturally this works out to be a balance for our body, where our body is kept in a proper body shape, which is healthy and good for typical activities. Being obese is not very good. The body understands it's harmful and it shouldn't be that way. But of course we have certain conditions which hurt us and which make us consume food, overconsume food, and which make dieting down and trying to reduce body fat percent, trying to diet down to get to normal body fat range. It makes it a nightmare because you have to deal with this hunger, which is very primal and strong motivator to eat, which is very hard to actually conquer, if not absolutely impossible. Because again, our body wants us to survive. So by nature design, by natural selection, basically, our hunger is so strong, it overrides any form of willpower. Because those who could, override their hunger with willpower, did not survive. They died of starvation, some of them. While those who did survive, mostly they ate enough. So either they had a hunger which was stronger than their willpower, or they never had to exercise willpower to prevent themselves from eating. But now we have this issue. Yeah, it's quite tasty, but it's spices and cheese mostly. Zucchini is not a very big part of the tastiness. Let's get to the delicious wakame. It's simply wakame, it's simply seaweed. It comes in dry shape, in dry form, and you soak it in water for some time so it develops like this and enlarges 5 times, and you have these tasty, juicy seaweed. Add some salt, pepper, sesame seed oil, sesame seeds, and it's simply awesome in that case. And this serving, which is 10 grams of dried wakame, will give you your weekly supply of iodine and many other nutrients you need. So it's very healthy and very nutritious, as well as delicious. Let's try some kimchi sauce. So yeah, unfortunately there are several issues with health which make us overeat. The most typical ones are, of course, first of all, there are medical conditions, like when your body just doesn't secrete or doesn't see ghrelin, the hunger hormone, the satiety hormone. So your body just doesn't, basically, the system which tells your body stop eating, we're full, doesn't function. So you're constantly hungry. This is why people sometimes they get obese to absurd amounts of body fat, like they weigh 300, 400 pounds. That's because it just doesn't work in their body, this system, which tells them to stop eating. They feel hungry all the time, so they eat all the time and they stockpile food all the time. That's a medical condition. It should be treated by doctors, it should be treated by hormone replacement therapy or other kinds of therapy, and it can be treated, it can be fixed. And so that's a different case. Otherwise, of course, when you consume unhealthy foods, like your fast foods, your desserts, which are high in fats and high in high glycemic carbs, quickly digestible carbs, your sugars, your starches, your white flours. These kinds of foods, they are at this bliss point which makes your body overconsume them. It basically breaks our satiety mechanisms and makes our bodies crave this kind of food. So these kinds of foods, this is why they say there's always room for dessert. The kinds of foods which make you overeat. quite good. These foods will just make you hungry, regardless if you're full or not. So if you choose to eat them, you just have to know it. Or you can choose to abstain from them, and you will not have this kind of issue. And then, of course, there is this nemesis, insulin resistance, which happens because if you consume all these sugars, the blood sugar level raises up to a critical amount, and this hyperglycemia is basically terminal condition. You will die if you sustain this for a long time, enough time, because your blood vessels will deteriorate. So your body has to quickly fix this issue. It has to remove the glucose from the blood. Blood sugar is basically blood glucose. It's improper to call it blood sugar because sugar is glucose and fructose. Anyways, so high blood sugar triggers insulin release, which signals the fat cells and the muscles to take the sugar out of the blood to clean it, so it doesn't get too high and you don't die. But if you eat these sweets constantly, like you snack on them, you eat all these potato chips, sweets, desserts, it happens all the time. But it's an emergency mechanism. It should not be triggered all the time. It should be an emergency that basically saves yourself from death. It's not meant to be there all the time. What happens? Is that this insulin release is like a shout, a commanding shout, do this urgently. But if this shout keeps shouting like every second, every minute, you just start to ignore it. So the cells start to ignore insulin. So the amount of insulin is increased because, again, your body still has to get this sugar out of the blood. It's a matter of life and death. So your pancreas releases more insulin, and so you constantly have a high amount of insulin in your blood just because it's required to trigger this mechanism, because it doesn't function on low amounts of insulin anymore. And that's why even when you don't have food in your blood, you still have this medium amount of insulin, which is high enough to block the fat cells from releasing nutrients. And so even if you're obese, your body cannot access these body fat stores when you're hungry. So insulin resistance causes you to overeat because you have body fat but you can't access it. So your body gives you a hunger signal, eat more, but if you eat these sweet things again, they get stored into your body fat. You increase the amount of body fat, but you don't access it. So you keep piling up body fat and you keep remaining hungry. But if you would fix your diet, start to consume healthy foods. Fix your insulin resistance by not consuming these foods so frequently, or consuming small amounts so you don't have an abundance of blood sugar and a need to release insulin to flush your blood sugar. And if you don't have any medical conditions or you treat them, which prevent this from working altogether, then supposedly you should be able to eat intuitively. One second. Intuitively eating means you just eat whatever you want and you have no issue whatsoever. You just eat when you want to eat and stop eating when you are full. And you will just keep a normal body weight because your body will naturally gravitate towards a healthy amount of weight. If you also exercise and work out, you will also build muscle because your body will be incentivized to grow more muscle because you stress your muscle all the time and your body is like, okay, we need more muscle to survive, so it grows more muscle. And that's where emotional hunger comes in and ruins everything. Frigging everything. So what happens? What happens is you can have certain attachments to certain kinds of foods. You can have certain foods trigger certain memories and feelings in you. And you grow a habit to take these foods in, to have this feeling, to achieve some sort of psychological state or some sort of feeling, some sort of pleasure in your body. There's nothing bad about having pleasure from food, but this is different. If you want to have pleasure from eating food, that's awesome, because you need food every day. So you might as well make this event pleasurable, and you might as well enjoy it to the fullest. There's nothing bad about eating the foods you want to eat, because we keep forgetting, really, that this taste for foods is not for pleasure actually. It's actually for our benefit. You actually want the foods in normal conditions which are beneficial to you. You want the foods which have the nutrients your body needs. It's not there for fun. It's there for purpose. So it's good to eat the foods you want and have pleasure. The issue is emotional hunger is when you crave certain foods because you want to have a certain feeling. You want to have a certain kind of pleasure. You want to have a certain mental state, physiological state inflicted on you by consuming these foods. Like this kind of pie that your mother used to bake, and then you eat this pie, you reminisce about all these past times, how cozy and nice it was, and you feel so good. Kind of like this. Or when you feel down and depressed, you eat your favorite dessert and you feel better. Like this. And the issue here is it makes you overeat. It makes you overconsume calories, and you don't have a way to distinguish. Like, does your body really need this food right now? Or do you want a condition? Do you want this food because it's a habit? Because you want to have some pleasure, because you want to have some psychological state you want to enter? And it's a constant struggle because you don't know, should you deny yourself the food you want or should you allow yourself to have this food? It just messes with your head, and it's just so bad. And that's why I think emotional hunger is like enemy number one. Because without it, if you would eat healthy foods, if you would keep your body healthy, keeping a proper body shape would be easy. You wouldn't have to limit yourself at all. You would just eat intuitively and just enjoy food, and that's it. Let's try this salad. This is very, very good. Avocado, eggs, olives, and canned salmon. I also added some spice, of course, because I love spicy stuff. Very good. Right, so and I struggled myself with emotional hunger. What I found is, first of all, don't struggle. Just give up the idea of beating this thing immediately. Instead, observe. So you should not try to somehow fix this until you fully understand the extent of the issue and you fully understand why do you have this. Why do you have this emotional hunger? What exactly do you crave and why? In what cases do you want, and what kind of foods do you want? and I myself have struggled for several years with this. Only recently have I finally been able to understand the key is to understand why and what you're doing, what you're trying to achieve with this food. Not deny yourself, but find first what's the reason. Study all the triggers, why this happens, all the foods that give you this, and understand why it happens this way. And then you can try to fix it. Usually, once again, it's to feel some sort of feeling, to have some sort of psychological condition, some sort of state of mind, or just to have pleasure. In my case, I would go for specific kinds of foods when I'm down and depressed, or when I want to celebrate. When I'm like happy and I achieved something, I would go for some food to congratulate myself or to feel good. And fighting this was no good. Because again, you can never figure it out. What if you haven't eaten enough and you want some food? Like if you have cooked your food and eaten your food, but it's too little amount of calories for you, for the daily calorie amount, you want to eat some more, that's fine. What if you also want to eat your favorite food? That's fine. But then you go and eat too much because it's emotional hunger, you can't stop, or because you just want some more and then some more and then some more, and you think it's fine. In the end, you overconsume food and you understand it was not physical hunger. You didn't require this food right now, it was just emotional hunger. And again, trying to fix this just by trying to force it to stop without understanding it wouldn't work, because it's just so powerful, and also because you will typically start to punish yourself and berate yourself, tell yourself you're bad for overconsuming, for being this weak, which will trigger more overeating, because it will trigger more negative conditions which you will try to curb with this emotional hunger. It's like a feedback loop. You overeat, you punish yourself and overeat more to cover for it. Let's try this kimchi sauce here. However, when you fully understand what's going on, you may find ways to help you. Help yourself. When you understand fully what's going on, you can have precise plan of action. And then it just becomes an issue of changing a habit. So, how do you change a habit? You just replace it with a different habit. For example, really, such a good salad. It surprised me. Just a random internet recipe, but this one actually works. It's actually quite good. So, let's try some mushroom sauce. Right now, if I feel depressed, feel down, and I want to consume food, I just ask myself if I have eaten today. If I have, I won't eat any food. I will first fix my issue. If I have not eaten, I will eat a bit, and then again, fix the issue. Meditate, study, examine what's keeping me down, why am I depressed, and fix the depression. Don't eat food. You are not depressed because you lack food. You are depressed because something else happened, and that something else needs to be addressed. Intake of food is not fixing the underlying issue. If before, when I'm down and depressed, my reaction was to go and eat, now it will be to sit down, meditate, and understand what's the issue here. And fix it without resorting to food consumption. And before I feel significantly better, until I've overcome this state, I will not allow myself any food. Just because, no, the habit must be broken. The habit must cease, and it gets better eventually, it gets easier. Just because you just have to break it several times, and then you start to get used to this new habit, the old habit goes away. Again, this food intake, this emotional hunger, it had a purpose. I replaced this with a different solution. You won't have the need for the emotional hunger for the food anymore. If you know how to treat this condition without food, you don't have to have food. You can treat this condition with this other method you now have. Simple. And once again, it all boils down to understanding exactly why you do it. Why do you overconsume food? Why do you have this emotional hunger? What purpose does it achieve? And then you can conquer it. This salad is really so good with so many different sauces. It's just delicious. And also, for the purpose of fixing this issue, I won't allow myself to have these comfort foods, these foods that emotionally hunger, in the end of the day. If I want, I can start my meal with them, but never in the end, just so they never lead me to overeating. If I want them in the end, I'll say, okay, enough, I had some in the morning. That's enough for today. And then I have to face it. It's emotional hunger. I don't need the food. So it's emotional hunger, so I shouldn't eat food. I should instead fix the issue that triggers this hunger. And again, understand there's always a purpose. There's always a purpose to such bad, quote-unquote, behavior. It's not like you're bad, it's not like you're a sinner, like you do something to purposely hurt yourself. All you do has a positive intent. There is some intent which you feel is good for you. It's just, it turns out to do more harm than good. It's misaligned, it's not properly chosen, but it's still good intent. The point is to find this intent and achieve it without food. Really, it's good on its own. It's good with all these sauces. It's awesome. just put all around. Oops. Some more of this tasty mushroom sauce, which again is just mayonnaise with some mushroom flavor, but it's quite good for what it is. Quite freaking delicious. And the end goal of all this is to just eat intuitively. Because again, your taste for food is not for pleasure. It actually has a purpose. And in a healthy human, you would want the food which benefits you the most right now. You would crave the exact type of food which has the nutrients and minerals your body needs the most. And eating accordingly to your food preferences would make the most sense, because that's what your body needs right now the most. And if you are consuming healthy foods, and if you are healthy, if you have all your health issues figured out, and if you have figured out your emotional hunger, then you can just eat intuitively and enjoy a healthy relationship with food, where you just enjoy food with no restraint and you don't gain any excess fat. Because your body naturally will keep you healthy. Your body doesn't want to be obese. It's just how it works. We have everything in our body to be healthy. We just need not break it. Absolutely wonderful. And again, it's so simple to make. Just mix the ingredients together. But the salad itself it fits like a main dish, and it's awesome. And perfectly keto, no extra carbs. You got your proteins, you got your fats, and no extra carbs. Awesome. What can I say? Just awesome. will definitely be making another portion. Because it's worth it. This salad is awesome. Okay, let's get to the tasty dessert right here. This jelly cake, it's what, 5th, 6th attempt at this. Today it's quite a success, but still there are things to improve. The taste though is quite good. The idea here is of course that on keto diet you cannot have too much fruit. So having an apple cake would be no good, only a small piece maybe. Luckily zucchini looks like an apple if you cut it properly, and you can get it infused with citric acid with apple flavor, and it kinda starts to taste like apple. In a cake like this, it's quite easy to be fooled into believing you're eating apples. Well, in fact, it's zucchini. And the beauty is, it freaking works. Like you have this sour, sweet, and it tastes like apple, so it feels like apple. Again, I talked about this in extent in the video where I talked about the book, Mindful Eating. We get fooled so easy with food, we just need to hint ourselves in the right direction, and our body fools itself so easily. You just need the proper color, sweetness, sourness, and flavor or aroma, and you get the feeling you're eating the real deal. And so many times people say the ketogenic diet is limiting. You have to limit yourself, you have to abstain from sweets. No! You get so much cool stuff you can eat on ketogenic diet. Just need to cook it accordingly. It's awesome what you can do. So simple yet so awesome. And again, I always wondered why dessert is eaten last. Dessert, usually it's high fat, high glycemic carbs. It triggers this bliss point where you stop, like your satiety stop working, and you stop like properly feeling full and you want to eat more and more. That's why they say there's always room for dessert. So you had this nice meal, you feel full, you eat a bit of dessert, now you're hungry again. But you ate enough. So you have to like force yourself to abstain from food, or stand from the table hungry, or you overeat because you want more and more. And like, what's the point? It's like self-torture. But this doesn't trigger such a response. With this, I can just enjoy this, and I don't get this desire to overconsume it. And that's so cool. Also, our bodies have some delay before we actually feel full. So after you've eaten enough, some time has to pass before you feel full in your stomach, in your brain, and you like feel you should stop eating. It can take up to 20 minutes. So if you have this dessert to enjoy, this very low calorie dessert, and this whole plate of 8 pieces, altogether it's less than 200 calories. It's awesome. While you enjoy this very low calorie dessert, you get to catch up with the food you consumed. You get to feel full. So you don't have to stand from the table a bit empty and feel full later. You can stand on the table satisfied, feeling you have eaten enough. That's wonderful. And this is wonderful. Simply delicious. And again, it's so much you can enjoy for so little calories. You don't have to worry to like go over your caloric limit because there's so little calories in all this. But it's sweet and tasty, and you get satisfied. A real treat. Seriously, it's so good. So yeah, the emotional hunger is like the final bastion. When it falls, when you get full control of it, you can just enjoy food freely and stay in proper shape and just eat intuitively. It's so amazing. Of course, you have to switch to healthy eating and fix your health issues first. But again, it's not that hard to eat healthy if you know how to cook healthy food to be tasty. Food doesn't have to be unhealthy to bring you pleasure and joy. Food doesn't have to be unhealthy to be fast. You can cook fast, healthy food. You can cook tasty, healthy food. Thank you all very much for being with me today. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so that you'll be the first one to know when I release another mukbang video. And then check out this playlist right here for more healthy keto mukbangs that you will definitely enjoy. I love you all and see you all again real soon.